I love to start at the beginning for my podcast interviews because, of course, we're going to talk about your time as Prime Minister of Haiti, the longest serving Prime Minister in the country's modern history, which is really, really amazing. But we have to go way, way more before to really understand, your journey. So I understand that you have a passion for tennis. And when you were younger, you represented your country at the Davis Cup in 1994 and 95. What is it that made you just so interested in tennis?
Well, that's it's a great question. My parents put me into tennis. My brother was like he was a champion and he played tennis. He was playing in Haiti and and everybody, was in the family was into tennis. So my parents figured that, hey, I was 8, put me into tennis and see what happens. So basically that's how it started. So I started taking 30 minutes a week classes, and then it went more and more, and then I started loving it. I love tennis.
What would you say is the one life skill that you've gained from tennis that you've been able to transfer into other amazing things that you've been involved with?
Well, a lot. It taught me, to focus, to stay focused, to keep your eyes on the ball, right? To follow through. And when you start something, you want to finish it and you want to fight till the end. And those are the life lessons that carried me through, through my years in college and my years in work, in entrepreneurship. Because I've been an entrepreneur for like 30 years, and along the way, I was 2.5 years prime minister. So
No, I know that focus is very, very important. I hear that from so many different guests that I speak with from so many different industries as well, that you need to focus and put that time into finding something that you're really passionate about. I know that there are so many distractions these days. There's this person working on that, this person's working on this project. But if you find something that you love and something that you're good at, you got to focus on it. And of course, magical things can happen from there. So fast forwarding a little bit, you ended up leaving Haiti originally when you were 19 to study in Florida. You would attend Barry University and then enroll at St. Thomas University in Miami Gardens, Florida. Looking at these days, what's one routine that you developed while you were in college that you still use today?
well, the routine was to actually wake up early and exercise. So that's what I did, since I was in college, that I kept today. And I think, habits are extremely important in one's person's success. I'm reading this book that's called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've heard about it.
I've heard it.
Yeah, so it's super educational book that shows you the power of habits, the power of doing the same thing every day, and then the automation that you get from it, and the power that you achieve from it. So mine was like waking up, at the same time, stretching, drinking water first thing I do in the day to hydrate your body after a long night's rest. So you hydrate the body, you get that heart rate up. I do some jump rope, then I go to the gym, and that's how I start my day. So I want to have productive day, and this is how I get going.
That's awesome. And those are routines that you've really held on to for years and years and years. And it's clear that consistency always leads to success. So you just got to really find a good routine, find something that works for you. And of course, I love that I have you on the show now. You can share your routine and help inspire other 20 somethings. And still talking about your college days, before we move on from there, as I did mention, you were attended these awesome schools and you got a master's degree as well, focused on business management. I know master's degrees aren't for every single student, but what is something that you really took away from getting a master's degree? And is that something that you recommend every college student considers?
Well, if you can, yes. I think, nowadays it's important. Although, the economies are changing, when I went to school, it was a little bit different. But I still do think that, I would advise my own kids, and I have to, if to go all the way, right? So you do something, you do it all the way. You don't do it halfway. So all the way meaning that you get your high school degree, you get your bachelor's, and you get a master's. And if you want to get a PhD, you get the PhD depending on the field. But you do it, you always do something and you do it all the way. You don't do it halfway, because half measures usually don't work.
Of course, no, that's really good advice as well. And on the subject of that, we can move on to some amazing things that you've been involved with. Before we get to your days as a public servant and a leader, I do want to share with the audience that you are also an entrepreneur and founder. At the age of 26, you founded a company called the Global Voice Group, which over the last 2 decades has grown to become one of Africa's foremost technology companies. Looking at this moment of your life, becoming an entrepreneur and a founder, what's some good advice that you have for other aspiring founders who are now, really just trying to figure out how to get their lives together and create something?
Well, one is to have a vision and to put in the time to research, to study, to really think about it, to take, to bounce ideas, to make sure that, your idea is mature and your idea is, you know, is solid. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is to, get along well with people that can help, whether it be a teacher, whether it be a friend, whether it be somebody that can help you financially. Okay, it's always important to be nice to people and to be courteous, because I feel that courtesy takes you a long way, um, especially when you have a good idea. If you have a great idea and you're a jerk, I mean, I'm not saying you're not gonna make it, but it will be a little bit harder. So you want to put all your chances on your side. So you want to be courteous, you want to be nice, you want to be honest, you want to push your idea to the max, you want to research it, and then you want to give yourself the maximum amount of chances to succeed. So that would be my advice to to an entrepreneur starting, just starting off.
I love that because a lot of focus is put on IQ, which is really important. But you spoke a lot about EQ, really building compassion, finding a good team to work with. Those are all really important things as well that I advocate every founder in their 20s focuses on. As I did mention, this company was started in 1998. So yes, it has spanned over 2 decades, the same year that I was born as well. So when it comes to building something that lasts long, and scaling that up, what is your advice there? Not just creating a company that is only around for a year. This has had so much impact, and it's also been able to grow a long time. So I'm curious, what's your advice for building something that lasts?
Well, I think, one of the most important thing is to build something that solves a problem. So what Global Voice did, in the emerging markets is that it was solving a problem that a lot of telecom companies, governments, they had a huge population, and then they were unable basically to be able to fight against people doing fraud on the networks, stealing on networks. So they had difficulties determining what was going on. So they needed our AI, they needed our technology to help them in that regards for cybersecurity aspects. And in Africa, they had another problem is that they had no way of providing digital compliance on the phone companies operating in their country. So we gave them the tools and the technology in order for them to do their job and to do well. And that was a win-win. So they were able to focus on compliance, to enforce the compliance through our tools, and then so have a more competitive sector, telecom sector at the time, and ensure that basically that the customers were happy, because that improved the customer experience, and certainly improved the quality of service provided to customers, subscribers, and it ensured also of compliance on the telco's license. So we would be like the digital arm of the FCC, for example, overseeing, in the US terms, AT&T, T-Mobile, etc.
The root of it is always problem solving, though, as you mentioned. So I think that's really important. A lot of times, these great business ideas come naturally. A lot of times you have to put yourself in unique situations to see a problem that exists in a market. But I love that, through the years that you built this, through the lives you're able to impact and companies that you're able to work with, it was always rooted in solving a problem. So that's really, really powerful. So
100%.
now, yeah, so now I'd love to pivot to your time, serving as a leader in Haiti. You of course founded this company, strong entrepreneurial track. When was the moment that you decided that you really could impact more lives and help more people serving as the prime minister of Haiti?
So I had no idea that I was going to end up in politics in Haiti, because I was, at the time the company was doing business in Africa. We were,
Mhm.
we were doing very well. We were operating in 45 countries. So it was the first, I would say Haitian owned company operating, in Africa, away, basically in the motherland, in the mother continent for Haiti. Haiti being the first black country uh, in the world. So it was very refreshing also to go back to the roots and go back and help, I would say, in that sense. So that was not an easy task. So after the earthquake of 2010, something clicked, and I felt that I wasn't interested simply in the bottom line, simply in working for shareholders. I felt that there was a higher calling,
Mhm.
and my friend uh, basically ran for president at the time, and he asked me to come and help out. So that was a very tough decision because basically that meant resigning from a company that I built from scratch and from the ground to just give up everything overnight and going to help him. So I ended up choosing country over company, and I left uh, Africa, and I moved to Haiti, and I stayed there, for 5 years. 5 years, and I started off as advisor to the president for a few months. Then I became the Minister of Foreign Affairs for 5 or 6 months, and then Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, and then Prime Minister and Minister of Planning and External Cooperation Minister. So I had several hats.
I love that quote, and it was really powerful that you just mentioned that you chose country over company in your pursuit to help people out and serve. And I came across a really unique quote that you left in a Forbes article a while back that micro contributions make a mega difference, helping governments fast track development. I'd love for you to kind of elaborate on that a little bit on how as individuals living in a country, what can we do to help our societies continue to grow through these micro contributions, as you mentioned.
Well, the macro contribution in this case was, how basically we provided a solution where a caller had to pay, one penny for every minute of communication, and that penny would go into a national development project or budget. So that one penny that he would, let's say, he would call for 5 minutes, and then he would pay 5 pennies. Those 5 pennies go into a fund, but because of the sheer huge amount of volumes
Mhm.
that the countries of Africa's that they're getting huge amounts of volume of international inbound calls into the country and outbound calls as well. That when you add one penny to a minute of call, all of a sudden it gives you several $100 million a year that in turn can be used for, like they've done in Ghana, for example. They did a youth employment program. So the youth employment program, gives hope and scholarships to thousands of people in their 20s, actually, in one country. In other countries, they use it for health funds, education funds. So basically, it creates a good for several thousand people. But the concept is basically, putting one penny on international communication, and that helps, thousands of people.
I love that because I mean, you really outlined it. I mean, showing those micro contributions, but I mean, then creating a fund for $700 million. I mean, that's really, really impactful. So I think that that's something more 20 somethings can consider. Look for ways where we want these big changes. We want to fix everything, but of course, there has to be a journey to get there. Little things done over time by a lot of people can lead to a lot of big changes. So, love that point. And just going back to, I know you mentioned the earthquake of 2010. We all saw that. I mean, obviously, it was really, really heartbreaking. Um, 20 somethings today, are also dealing with a lot of uncertainty with the pandemic. I understand those are two very, very different situations, but just any advice that you have for young people, pushing through the uncertainty, advice that you gave, to everybody, including young people that you were surrounded by during those days, or kind of just how do you view uncertainty and like fighting through uncertainty?
By staying positive, I think positive thinking works wonders, and believing in your idea, believing in yourself. Be kind to people, be kind to elders, respecting respecting the elders, and at the same time pushing through and not letting no not taking no for an answer. once you can manage to blend all these few ingredients, you have a successful recipe.
That's a wonderful recipe for life, and I really love that. I mean, through a lot of the negativity that we're exposed to, especially stuff that we see, online, and there's just a lot of uncertainty everywhere. It's best to stay positive and really help promote positive energy to other people as well. So, we started this interview at the very beginning. Let's kind of start with a forward looking question, or end with a forward looking question as well. I'd love to learn more about what you're working on today, any resources to help young people, and what can we expect from the future of your professional journey as well.
So now I do a lot of, I'm into the digital world,
Hmm.
startup investing, angel investing, in the emerging markets. So we're building, companies from scratch and investing in some companies that are doing great things like digital banking, for example, WhatsApp banking, something that is new. We're investing in an NFT company. We invested in microfinance company in Africa, one that provides credit scoring, which something that doesn't exist, something that here is very common, but over there doesn't exist. So we're doing some of that. We're doing incubators, and pushing that in our native Haiti, investing in incubator and in developers, which is very important.
Of
People
course.
to learn coding and developing software. It's very very important. So I do a whole lot of that. Still have the foundation that looks after some of the more socially leaning initiative that we're doing. Like we build a school for 350 students. Um, we're doing that, and of course, we're still thinking, of course, of doing bigger and better things into the digital world. So I have also a blog that I started, on YouTube, on the YouTube channel called the Innovation Zone. So it's a way of giving back and educating people about the wonders of technology and what the future holds for the metaverse, NFTs, the digital world.
We're going to link all those resources to the interview as well for everybody listening to tune in and check those out. It's very exciting times right now. A lot of new technologies being built. Love that you're really interested in, seeing how a lot of this technology can impact individuals. In addition to all those amazing projects, that you also are a father of two girls. We'll end it here. What is like the one most important piece of advice that you give them, one that you wish that you had growing up, but now, having gone through your life, this piece of advice you really want to share with them and everybody else that's tuning in?
Well, the one piece of advice is when they're doing something, do it well. If they apply to do something, do it all the way. None, no half measures. Study hard, stay in school, and be the best that you can be at all times and to all people. And finally, one of the something that I love to tell them is honesty is the best policy.
Mm. That's really good advice. Well, Ron, I just want to say thank you so much. I mean, this is such a wonderful interview, hearing about your journey, but not just your journey, hearing about your best advice for current 20 somethings. A lot of us, are really trying to figure out everything that's going on right now and trying to figure out our lives. I mean, this is really the defining decade, and that's what they call it for a reason. So I love speaking with leaders like you who have accomplished so many amazing things and just want to be able to help young people out. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lyndon, and keep it up, man. Keep it up. Keep doing the good things, and you're doing a wonderful job. And I hope that this interview, will have several thousand views, and we can, I want to put it on my channel as well, and and keep up the good work, man.
Of course. Thank you so much. That means a lot. And we're going for hundreds of thousands and millions too. So well,
Great,
hopefully we'll be able to inspire a lot of people with this. Sir, I just want to say thank you again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you around. Thank you.
wonderful, man. Thanks a lot.
Bye bye.